This is a gorgeous dish, and today I'm going to show you my recipe for this soup that is absolutely fantastic. I'm making cream of mushroom soup. It's delicious. This is a recipe I came up with. It was, again, one of my personal invented recipes. I put this one out when I started doing Texas Cooking Today. It was in my first season. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm the person who invented cream of mushroom soup. I'm not. But I did come up with this recipe. And I didn't pull from other recipes. I simply pulled from what I knew and what I felt and what I wanted from the soup itself. And that's how I built it. So if some of the ingredients that you see today are a little unconventional for some of the cream of mushroom soups that you've seen, well, that's because this is my recipe. I wanted it my way. I want to say this. I decided to stick closely to the original recipe I did because it was so doggone good. So you'll know I'm allergic to not allergic to recipes. I am allergic to mushrooms. And so when it came to enjoying this recipe the last time I made it, well, I was itching for several days. So I won't get to eat as much. I'll give away almost the entire batch. But I can say this. I make one of the best tasting cream of mushroom soups that you'll ever taste. This recipe, you're going to enjoy it. Let's get in the kitchen and take a look. Before we go in there though, please remember Texas Cooking Today. There we go. Remember Texas Cooking Today. That is the video that you're watching right now. That's my channel and my website where you can get this and get stuff like this. Hello. Yeah. This one isn't up yet, but it will be soon. My website is right down there in the links below, so take a look at that. The recipe link is also there. That's on my website as well. So folks, let's get into the kitchen, take a look at the ingredients, and I'm going to whip up the tastiest cream of mushroom that you'll ever find. Let's go. We have a beautiful array of ingredients here. Look at all this. Now back here where you can't see it, I've got a little salt. We're going to use that later just to bring some flavor out in this. But the ingredients, they're all about mushrooms, right? This is cream of mushroom. I have 2 pounds of mushrooms, some white button cap, and some cremini, okay? You can also use baby bella, and they work out just fine for this recipe. Folks, it's all the same mushroom, okay? Cremini, baby bella is a portobello mushroom. When they're small like this, they're young, they're called a cremini. When they get a little bigger, about so big, then they turn into a baby bella. So it's just the amount of time they've been in the ground. Also got some leeks. Now I've got more leek here I think than I'm going to need, but I'm going to need about the same amount of leek as I have in either one of these mushrooms weight wise. I figure it's going to be about 3 of these. It could be more, so I got another one since they're small. I have some butter and flour, olive oil. I have some broth here. You can use vegetable broth for this or chicken broth. Take your pick. I have over here some heavy cream, and this right here is some grana padano cheese. If you can't find grana padano, get some Parmesan. The grana padano is similar to Parmesan, but it's a little bit milder, not quite as sharp, and it's a little creamier. It's a good cheese. Yum. Got to get busy getting these ready to cut. They have to be cleaned because they're kind of dirty inside. They always are. And slicing the mushrooms. There's a little work to be done before we can get busy cooking. I'm getting ready to do my prep work, and it starts with a little cleaning. When I pulled my mushrooms out, I used a brush, and any dirt I went ahead and just knocked off of that mushrooms. All of them I did that way. Make sure you check yours because sometimes there is some dirt on your mushrooms. Sometimes it's just the gills from other mushrooms, so look closely. Leeks are almost always filled with dirt or mud. Check those. I'm going to be removing about 2/3 of the green. In other words, I want to keep from this point where it goes from light green to dark, I want to keep 1 to 2 inches of it. So cut it there, and then I'm going to split them from the root up to open them up and get all that dirt out. Do yours the same way, and then we're going to weigh them, and if 3 of these weighs up to 1 pound, I'm going to slice those and use that. I only need a pound of leeks. It could be 3 or 4 depending on the size of leek you use, and if you don't have scales, I'm sorry, I guess you're going to have to guess at it. I have my mushrooms, I'm getting them prepped. Now I have just gone ahead and snapped out the stems on these. If you prefer to just cut yours flush, do that. Either way works fine. Afterwards you want to go ahead and slice these, and we're looking for about an 1/8 inch thick slices to a 1/4 inch thick. So chop all of them up. After that we will take about 1/4 of each of the mushrooms. 1/4 of the white mushroom sliced, 1/4 of the cremini mushroom sliced, and we will chop those up. I'm busy cutting up all of my mushrooms. Now I've taken some of the sliced mushrooms, the sliced portobellos, the creminis, and I have chopped them up, and that's what you want to do. And they don't have to be, you know, little pieces, but you know, not as large as slices, okay? And what we're doing is we're extracting a little extra flavor by doing it this way. So take 10% of each one and then just simply chop them up like that, okay? We have arrived. I have my pot ready to cook. I have all of my food sliced up and diced up and chopped up and ready to go. This is the way we cook. Always the prep method. Get everything prepped first, then start cooking. All right, now I'm going to be starting with the mushrooms. We're going to saute these. I need to heat my pot up so it's good and hot on the bottom before I start putting the mushrooms in there. But I'm going to be cooking all of these that are just sliced and reducing them by about 1/3, and then I'll add in this part and saute them with the others. Something I have to mention though, when you go sauteing mushrooms, these little things are like miniature sponges. They're going to soak up the oil, and it's going to look like there's no oil in your pan, even though you've used plenty. Don't be afraid to add a little extra oil. They don't have to be soaking in it in order to cook right though. Don't worry about that. We just want plenty of oil. They're going to take it in. It affects the character and the texture of the mushroom when it's finished. After we get these sauteed, we'll move into our leeks, and then we will cook them off with some of our stock, making a roux at the same time. Okay, I'm getting them cooked up. Got that pan nice and hot, got our oil in there. We are getting them reduced, and once these are cooked down about approximately 1/3 of what they are now, I'll add in the chopped ones. We'll cook just for a few more minutes and then add the leeks and go for a little more cooking. We're going to sweat it at that point. Look at that, isn't that nice? Once I have cooked my mushrooms down for a little bit, and that's all of them chopped and sliced, this is about 15 minutes of cooking so far. 10 minutes in the saute part, another 5 minutes cooking it all together with the smaller chopped mushroom. And now I'm going to put in the leek, and I'm going to sweat that for about 15 to 20 minutes. My mushrooms and leeks have been sweating. It's been 20 minutes of them sweating. I'm about to remove this lid. I'm going to add my butter. Melt that butter about halfway, and as it's about halfway melted, I'll put in the flour, and the flour with the butter and maybe also a little extra olive oil is going to make a beautiful roux, and it's going to make sort of a pasty mess inside of that pot. Don't worry about that. Cook it for an extra 5 minutes once you put the flour in there, and then we'll put in the broth and simmer that again for about another 20 minutes. That'll cook off that flour flavor, and then we get on with turning it into a cream of. I have finished up with cooking off my roux. Gave that about 5 minutes just cooking with the vegetables. Then I poured in my stock, and now look what I have. It is thick, it has a lot of body to it, but this isn't cream of yet. This is just mushroom soup. All right? And you might say a mushroom leek soup at this point, but frankly, when you cream this, the flavor of the mushrooms pop. The leeks take kind of a background to it, and it's incredible. The flavor is unbelievable. And remember, we have 2 times the amount of mushroom as we do leek, so the flavor is dominant. There it is. We're going to give this a 20-minute cook covered. After it comes to a boil, I'll cover it, reduce the temperature to low, and simmer for 20 minutes. This has had 20 minutes to simmer. After I did the roux, I added the stock to it. Then it simmered, covered for 20 minutes. I stirred it occasionally. And right now we have this thick consistency, beautiful, beautiful dish, and it is a bit too hot for cream. Now here's what you got to know. Cream is going to curdle at 175. So cool this down a little bit, give it a little bit of time with the burner off to come down in temperature. You can always temper the cream if you know how to do that, and then put it in. Otherwise, I want to recommend bring your temperature in the pot below 175 and then add your cream. You're going to need a simple thermometer, a candy thermometer, fry thermometer. They will work for this. Right now, I'm bringing the temperature of my soup down. I have to have it low enough so I don't curdle my cream. Cream will curdle at 175. And so I have my thermometer here, and I'm checking it, and we're getting close. It's just about there. I want to double check that because this sometimes reads a little weird at lower temperatures. I'm going to use my chef's thermometer to get a second check on it. If it's right, then I'm going to put in the cream, and we're going to be making cream of mushroom soup and then adding in that cheese. I'm bringing this cream of mushroom soup back up in temperature. It'll hit about 150 degrees here in just a few moments, and when it does, I will start sprinkling in the cheese. Just sprinkle it in, stir it in, and work that in. It'll take it a few minutes to fully dissolve into the cream, but when it does, just like an Alfredo sauce, it'll be absolutely delicious, except it's not quite as strong as an Alfredo, but it lends similar qualities to this fantastic dish. Everything's mixed in right now. I have the cheese in there. That was the last thing that went in. The cream went in before that. Right now, this is looking beautiful, and my temperature is right about 160 degrees, 165. You want to end this right at 165 degrees. And that's the perfect temperature. It's a safe temperature. You've killed off anything that could have been in there. And you don't want to take it over 175 because you will curdle your soup. You don't want to do that. So be gentle with it at this point. The quantity of everything that we used today, that was 1 pound of white button cap mushrooms, 1 pound of cremini mushrooms or baby bellas, 1 pound of sliced leeks, 1 cup or 3 ounces by weight of shredded Grana Padano cheese, 1 quart of heavy cream. If it's called whipping cream, folks, that's the same thing, or heavy whipping cream, it's all the same. Heavy cream, 1 quart, 1 quart of broth, chicken broth or vegetable, take your pick. You're going to be using anywhere from 3/4 of a cup to maybe a cup of olive oil. Your flour, 1/2 cup of flour, 4 tablespoons of butter, a little bit of salt to taste, no more than about 1/2 to 1 teaspoon. Remember, the Grana Padano cheese has a lot of salt in it. That is it. It's a simple recipe, but delicious. Now let's take a look at the finished product. The soup is finished up. We have the right temperature. All I have to do now is dish it up, garnish it, and enjoy it. Folks, oh wow, look at this. Isn't that beautiful? There we go. Thick, rich, hearty soup. This one is a real delight. I'm cheating. I'm not supposed to be eating much of this. I have an allergy to mushrooms. I wish I didn't, because I make a really good mushroom soup. And right now, I just want to plow through this bowl and refill it and do it again. The last time that I made this, that's exactly what I did. Boy, did I regret that. I was itching for days. However, if you're not allergic to mushrooms, this is a recipe for you, and it's delicious. Folks, it's all I can do to keep myself from just tearing through this. Cream of mushroom soup, when it's done right, is incredibly good. And this is one of those recipes that you're going to want for your permanent file. And so you know, so while we're talking about that recipe, if you want the written recipe, I do a beautiful PDF recipe that is sold on my website. The link is down below. It is a PDF recipe that has pictures. You get a wonderful list of ingredients. It's really easy to use and also easy to purchase by. It's a great numbered list of steps to take to produce the dish. So every step is numbered, making it easy to know where you're at and where you left off. Please take a look at that. I've got some really cool stuff on my website. I have also Chef Trotter's Tips, which is another YouTube channel, and plenty more recipe videos on this channel. Thank you for watching. I'm going to enjoy this. Not too much stew. God, that's good. Man.